Hey there YouTube, this is SJM4306 back with another review video. This time, reviewing one of my favorite things in the world, MP3 players. Now, if you know me, I have like tons of MP3 players. The way I see it, a lot of people will collect like certain things, like I don't know, women will have like a million pair of shoes or like purses, and some dudes collect like sneakers and stuff. I collect MP3 players, that's my guilty pleasure. Anyway, I was contacted by Phinistec, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. You can notice their logo is a P. And they wanted me to review a new model of MP3 player that they released. And what interested me about this is uh, the build quality. So it's supposed to be pretty much predominantly built out of metal and glass. So it's going to be pretty beefy of a boy, I'm guessing. And just holding the box, it does weigh quite a bit, it feels, given the size. Anyway, some specs. It's 32 gigabytes internal memory, has a micro SD card slot, does Bluetooth 5.0, and apparently the battery life is something ridiculous. It has a, I think it was over 1,000 milliamp hour battery, which given the size of this guy, once I show you, I think they said the rated battery life is something crazy like 80 hours or something insane. So I'll definitely see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to test that fully. But yeah, there's some really hard to read specs. 2.4-inch TFT LCD. It's not a touchscreen, I believe. I believe it has touch buttons, but the screen itself is not. It says it accepts up to 128 gig SD card. Oh, 1500 milliamp hour. Yeah, so that's why they're quoting ridiculous battery times. It does have an FM radio. It supports 8 FLAC, MP3 OGG, AAC, ACE, LP, WMA, WAV, etc. And it supports video. It says AMV and AVI, but why would you ever want to watch video on a tiny little MP3 player? Yeah, really nice box, I will say. Anyway, we have the unit first and foremost up front. And this is, I'm not going to lie, it's a chunky boy. We'll take a look at this in a sec. Just want to see what accessories we have. Very nicely packaged with like thick foam to protect it though. I'm liking that. We have, ooh, I likey. A screen protector, not glass, it's a plastic one. It's slightly bendy, but nice that they include that nonetheless so you don't scratch your screen. We have these. This is going to be like a Type-C and a mini USB adapter. And so the whole idea is you can use your phone to transfer the music. You don't need a computer anymore. And so you can just, if you have a phone that's capable of USB on the go, you just plug whichever one of these fits into your phone in, and a USB cable, which I'm sure they've included somewhere in here. And you can directly transfer music using that. That's cool. So yeah, this should be the USB cable. There we go. I'm actually glad, I'm going to say this, I'm actually glad that they didn't include the crappy earbuds in here, because I never use them anyway. And so you might as well, instead of including earbuds, include like little useful accessories like this and the faceplate screen protector. So let's just see. Oh, okay, this is just going to rip open. Yeah, they include 2 of them. Nice. So if one gets scratched, or no, maybe one's for front, one's for back. Okay, I see. Yeah, because they're actually different sizes. So this is probably going to be the back one. This is going to be the front. Because the back is glass, I believe. And it includes a Type-C connector, way to go. None of that micro USB rubbish. And the cord is about a foot long. So not super short, not super long, but it'll get the job done. And then we have a user manual that's saying hi to us. So this is Phinistec music player. Z6 is the model number, I believe. And yeah, it's nothing special. I mean, you got where all the ports are. We'll take a look at that in a second. Mostly text, not really any images that I can see. Okay. Keep that in case we need it. Probably won't. And the player itself, which I'm just going to rip this guy open. This is hefty. Like, if I threw this at someone, that would hurt a lot. Yeah, it's glass front and back, it feels like. Yeah, and there's like no give in this at all. And the whole sides are machined metal, probably aluminum. But wow, this guy weighs a ton. When they said 1500 milliamp hours, on paper, that sounds large, but when you actually hold it in your hand, wow. Yeah, and it's really nicely designed. Holy. Let me just get everything out of the way. Yeah, so on the side we have our Type-C connector. What appears to be, I don't know if that's a mic hole or a reset hole. We have the micro SD card slot. We have two buttons for volume up and down. We have the power button here, and very nice like accented ring around it, so it's slightly recessed so you can't accidentally hit it. We have headphones and I guess line out. That's interesting, and it looks like they are actually gold plated. Very nice. Nothing on the left hand side, just nice and smooth. I will say one thing is the sides are a little bit sharp. They could have maybe did a little bit of deburring or something to round off the edges just a little bit. It's not gonna cut you or anything. I don't think so. But yeah, interesting design. They actually like inset this side, and this side is just sheer and like much sharper edges. That's interesting that they didn't like route that pattern around. Yeah, have their logo on the back here. Nice glass back, and on the bottom we have what appears to be speaker holes, so this will have speakers. And we have the actual labels for all the ports on the front, so you could see it from the front. That's really interesting. And we have capacitive touch buttons, which my old nemesis, capacitive touch buttons. We'll see. I'll give it a fair shot. But I'm pretty much already going to go on record saying that I generally do not like capacitive touch buttons. I would have preferred tactile buttons, even though this looks aesthetically much more pleasing than mechanical buttons. If you want to use this while it's in your pocket, you really can't without looking at it. And that's kind of a big usability thing for me. But we'll see how it goes. Let's see if this has any power. It should. It has a honking huge battery inside. So there, it turns on. Screen quality so far, viewing angles are actually okay. Yeah, you know what? They're actually okay. They do kind of blur out. They're not as bad as that last MP3 player that I reviewed, where if you didn't view it head on, it washed the image out like crazy. This one you can actually see pretty well at any given angle. So yeah, it looks like we're right into FM mode. That's interesting. Let's just back out. I believe this isn't running like Android or anything like that. This is probably running some kind of custom OS. And so yeah, we have music, folder view, FM radio, which is what it defaulted to, interestingly enough. Bluetooth recorder, so I guess that is a mic. So this does have mic input. Settings, ebook, photo, video, calendar, alarm clock, and then we're back to music. So yeah, that's interesting. And the buttons do light up very shortly. I wonder if I can elongate that, because in the dark this would be kind of difficult to use if they don't stay lit for longer. But yeah, that's a nice white color. They're evenly lit, and they look pretty aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, it's going to be a use case that's going to make or break the touch buttons. Yeah, there's a time that it shows you in the upper left-hand corner, as well as the battery icon. It has about half charge, which is pretty good. For shipping and like long-term storage, you don't want to keep a lithium battery fully charged. Generally, the rule of thumb is about 80%, but anywhere from like 50 to 80% is fine. And yeah, and just to turn it into standby mode, you just click this once, and I can wake it right back up. So let's just see settings. What's in settings? Can update playlist. I'm guessing if you insert an SD card, it'll have to cache all the tracks to RAM. Off time, display settings, date and time, language, information. Okay, player information, and okay, the software version, and then we have disk space. So free space, yeah, just under 32 megabytes. It's actually pretty close, so they're not skimping on the memory, so that's good to see. Screensaver. Huh. Okay, so you can have, I guess, whether it shows a clock or not when you put it to sleep. Keypad LED. Okay, here we go. Up this to 3 seconds, so it at least stays on long enough for me to see where the keys are. Format, factory default, automatic upgrade. Okay, yeah. What I'm gonna actually do is load this up with music and give this a test. I'm gonna actually carry this around with me every day for about a week or two, and learn all its oddities and get some experience with using this every day and what the sound quality is going to be like. And I'll get back to you guys about my thoughts on this. So far, it's mostly positive. I really like how like solid bricky this is, and it sort of looks like industrial too. I really like that. Like it's some sort of like walkie-talkie, like an industrial walkie-talkie or something. Looks like something that would maybe come out of like the Aliens films or something like that, where it's like future tech. So I'm liking the design aesthetic a lot. But let's just see how this is in actual use. So I'll be back in a sec. So I took this every single day for about 2 weeks. I put it in my front pocket right next to my wallet. I walked out the door, went to work, used this to listen to music for most of the day when I could, when I had some downtime and I was just working by myself. And so, yeah. One thing I forgot to mention, by the way, before I get too far into this, it actually does have screen protectors or like plastic film on the front and the back. The ones that it came with are replacements, so they're free extras. So fantastic. So yeah, how do I like this player? If I had to sum this up in a nutshell, hardware fantastic, software needs a lot of work. If I were just judging this off of the physical hardware itself, I freaking love this. I love, it looks sort of like, an old Sony Walkman, like a cassette player. It has like the chin on the top and like the labeling for all the buttons and stuff. I love the design of this. It's very like kind of military, like heavy duty sort of design, and almost like futuristic, like you would expect to see if the Matrix had an MP3 player, if Neo had one, he would have this model in particular. that's kind of the feeling of that I'm getting. This, I just love the design. It's almost perfect. As in terms of the usability, though, it definitely, the software kind of lets it down for me. It's usable, but there's a number of bugs that they really do need to work on. For example, one thing that I learned is if you are listening to music and then you lock the screen, so you press the power button on top to turn off the screen, and then you go to press volume up or down, it doesn't always happen, but it happened enough times that if, for instance, I wanted to turn the volume up one notch, it would turn it all the way up to max, and it would blow out my ears. And likewise, if I turned it down, it would turn it all the way down then. So clearly there's a bug that if you just put it to sleep and then you click the volume button, you don't wait long enough or something, it'll register like multiple clicks, like many clicks. So that's not good. If I click the volume button once, I expect the volume to go up one increment, not all the way to max and blow my eardrums out. So that's not that good. I didn't have that problem, though, if I use the volume buttons on my Bluetooth headset itself. Oh, by the way, I mostly listened to this over Bluetooth. I also did over the headphone jack, though. And I got to say, the Bluetooth quality is actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. It does sound slightly better, especially if you're listening to FLACs, if you're doing it over a wire. So if you have just a wired pair of headphones and you connect these, they sing with FLACs. So fantastic audio quality. I'm very happy with that. What could use improvement is, I guess we'll just fire this up right now while I show you guys. So what could use improvement is there is some like sound profiles. If I go into settings here and I go into sound settings, that's another thing. I expect this to be cardinal, like up, down, left, right, but it's like a weird X shape, so that sometimes confuses me. There is an equalizer, but it's not like a configurable multiband. You just get to select the genre, like rock, funk, hip hop, jazz, classical, techno, and they're pre-configured. I would love a fully adjustable, at least like 5-band equalizer would be great. I actually just leave this off, and it sounds good enough with a decent pair of headphones to me that I don't need to tweak the EQ, but I would like the option of it. Additionally, when you select the play mode, I find that it often forgets, and so I'll have it on shuffle, and then if I select a new track, or I guess turn it off, turn it back on, it'll be back on to repeat off. So I will constantly have to go in here and turn shuffle on again, which is slightly annoying that it doesn't remember that. As for the UI, weird thing, all my tracks have album artwork, and sometimes I do see it show up here. Sometimes I just get this black screen. Sometimes I get a picture of a record spinning, and I don't know what differentiates, or if it's a bug that's causing it to, album artwork to show up properly sometimes or not, or if there's like a limit to the resolution, because some of my album artwork is pretty low res, if that's the best I could get online. Some of it's like super high res, like a couple megabytes, like 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but like most of the time I'll turn it on, there just won't be album artwork. Fine, whatever. Audio quality is more important than album artwork for me. But what does kind of tick me off, they'll show the song name, but they won't show the artist name here. You have plenty of space like under it. Why don't you show both like the track and the album artist or the album name, whatever? There's plenty of room. There's absolutely no excuse not to show that. That's kind of annoying. So there is a built-in speaker here. There is no way to turn off the speaker. Like the other player, the last MP3 player I reviewed, you can forcibly turn off the speaker so that if your headphones accidentally disconnect or if you unplug them, that it won't blast your music out the speaker. This, there's no option to. If you don't have anything wired or connected via Bluetooth, it will just play through the speaker. So for instance, I can give you a taste of the speaker. It's actually pretty loud. Doesn't sound horrible. Yeah, you see there's that little record playing kind of symbol. Another thing is when you change the volume, it kind of takes forever for the icon to disappear, unless if you click the back button, which is kind of weird. So I wish they would add the ability to turn off the onboard speaker manually, turn on or off, whatever you want. I wish settings were retained properly, like the repeat or shuffle between like power on. No matter what you do, whatever you set it to, it remembers it. I wish they would fix the issue with the volume control. If you, for instance, I might be able to trigger it right now. So I'll turn the volume down, and then, of course, it's going to make a liar out of me now. But I swear to God that it happened enough times for me to make note of it, and so I always have to be careful when I switch it off. I have to turn the volume down before I turn it up, because I'd rather it go all the way down to mute and then I have to turn it back up again, then it go all the way to max, and then it kills my eardrums. Especially if you have IEMs with these. IEMs, by the way, are the way to go with these. They sound fantastic. But IEMs blasting at full volume are not so great. So yeah, another thing that I noticed is Bluetooth works actually great. The range is great. Dropouts, it works about as well as any other Bluetooth device I've used, including my high-end smartphone, in terms of like the range, the audio quality, all that. The only thing is it is a little annoying to set up and to use, so I'll just turn this on. I've never used this this Anchor speaker before with it, so I'm gonna have to actually search for it. So yeah, sometimes I have to search 2 or 3 times, and it's kind of annoying, and it looks like it's like auto pairing to my tablet. Give me 1 sec, I have to turn my tablet Bluetooth off. Okay, so now turn this on. I will search. Sometimes it takes like 2 or 3 tries, and it'll say search done, but nothing shows up under there. Yeah, I don't know what Shubalang is. It's probably their default, whatever they tested it with. But yeah, there we go. So now it popped up, Soundcore Mini. It took a couple tries, but once you connect to it, it'll connect right away. after that fact. But if you do toggle Bluetooth on and off, then it doesn't auto connect. You will have to manually tell it to connect to the last device and match. So we'll just go through there. Now it's trying to connect, and it's connected. So now we're good to go, and I can just go back into music and now playing, and here we go. And track control works, so they implemented that correctly. And I can even skip tunes. So yeah, sounds great. I can control the volume. Yeah, you just saw that. It doing something weird with the volume there. Just shot it all the way down, even though I clicked the button just like once. But yeah. Anyway, I'll just stop this. Overall, this is actually a pretty cheap player. I believe it was like in the order of 30 or 40 bucks. I'll put a correction if I'm wrong here. And another great thing is I charged this maybe only one time between getting it, and that was actually when I was syncing the music on. So the battery on this, I have absolutely no doubt. They quoted something ridiculous, like 80 hours or something. I could totally believe that because I'd listened to this every day for quite a while, and I only charged it when I had it plugged in syncing. So, and it's still at, it shows full battery life. So that's battery is going to be fantastic. And by the way, that was with Bluetooth. So if you have it wired, it's probably going to be even more ridiculous. That is to say, though, another downfall of this is the syncing. It takes forever. It is not great. The transfer rates are about 4 megabytes a second. So to fill the 32 gig internal memory will take you forever and a half, pretty much. So I ended up like leaving it plugged in while I was transferring, not even filling the memory. I think I only transferred like 8 or 10 gigabytes, and that took like forever, pretty much. So yeah, I wasn't too happy about that, but they do have this micro SD card, which I'm happy to say when you insert the card, it is inset a little bit, so you will need a fingernail to pop it in and out. But once it's in there, you're not gonna accidentally break it or like accidentally eject it or anything. It's once it's in there, it's in there. So I would generally suggest putting the music on the memory card and using the like an external memory card reader to transfer music. That will be significantly faster. Except for there's a pretty big downfall with that. I transferred a bunch of music of random bit rates, all MP3s and some FLACs, using a micro SD card that works perfectly on all my other devices. And it does recognize most of the tracks. When I had it on shuffle, what was really weird was some of the tracks were giving me like a not supported error message. And so I thought, oh, that's weird. I wonder if it's like corrupted or something. So I went back and I plugged into a different MP3 player and it read those files just fine. And so to double test, I transferred all those from the memory card to the internal memory and I played them and it played fine. So there's something buggy with their micro SD card reading implementation or something, because some of the tracks just would not read. It gave some unsupported error even though they were standard like MP3 files. So I don't know what's going on with that. So yeah, if you're gonna get this, I would mostly trust the internal memory more than the micro SD card, which is rather unfortunate, with the exception that it will take you quite a while to transfer all your music if you're going to fill up 32 gig internal memory. So just be aware of that, leave it on charge. However, once you get your music on here and you're past those problems, this is fantastic for just set it on shuffle and just like, set it out of the way and just listen all day and not have to worry about battery life. That is exactly what I that's kind of the biggest pro for me. I just have this on shuffle for like almost 8 hours straight and it just works. And Bluetooth sounds great. So that's definitely really good. I like that portion of it, that aspect. We need more MP3 players like this that are beefy, dedicated, like physically reliable, robust. If they could just get that software right, that would make this the perfect player, and I would seriously use this over my cell phone and even streaming music, anything like that. I would just load this up with my entire library and leave it on shuffle till the end of time, pretty much. If they can get that software right. The software is the biggest bummer for me, and they definitely can fix it, but we need them to fix it. That's sort of my thing. I've reviewed plenty of things before where the software is buggy. I contacted the manufacturer. They said their engineers were looking into it, and I never heard back from them again. So we need a firmware update that fixes the few problems that I've mentioned, or mainly the holdouts that would prevent me from saying this is the perfect MP3 player. I'm serious about that. So yeah, hopefully they listen to the constructive criticism I've given in this video, because I really believe that this would be an absolute everyday carry if they could just fix those few issues. I got a comment recently, not to go off on too much of a tangent, where someone said that it sounded like I didn't like MP3 players, and then they questioned me, rightfully so, if you don't like MP3 players, why are you reviewing MP3 players? That was the misunderstanding. I love MP3 players, like dedicated ones like this. They thought that when I said that MP3 players were obsolete, they thought that I really believed that, and I only used my phone for listening to music. Now, I do use my phone, but that's purely out of convenience. If you gave me a very nicely designed in both hardware and software MP3 player, I would choose a dedicated MP3 player 100% of the time over listening to my phone, which doesn't even have a headphone jack now. So yeah, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love MP3 players. The unfortunate thing when I say that they're obsolete, it's that if you were to ask any random person off the street, the majority of them would likely say that they don't use an MP3 player every day, that they just use their phone. So that's all I meant by that comment, but I absolutely love MP3 players. I still use them pretty much every day, if not multiple times a day. So yeah, anyway, rant aside, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.